Hello and welcome to Drysen Learns Things. I am Drysen, and today I'm talking with my coworker, Shelby Hagerdon. Hello.
Hello, Jason. It's good to see you for the
Yeah, we
second
saw each other
time
this
today.
morning in our meeting, but I'm glad to just talk about what you're doing right now because you've got some fun stuff you're working on. Before we jump into I'm a producer, tell me a little bit about your role at Made by Things.
Yeah, so again, I'm Shelby Hagerdon. I am a writer and producer at Made by Things. So I am, overseeing a lot of the production within Made by Things, obviously doing all of the different tasks that a producer would do, which you can learn more about on I'm a Producer, which we'll talk more about in a moment. But yeah, that's kind of my role.
So let's talk about I'm a producer. First off, what is it and why?
So, I'm a producer is just a little kind of like this, actually. It's like very short content that's going out on my LinkedIn and like my other social platforms. But it essentially goes through the different roles and functions and background and theory of what it's like to be a video or content producer. So, kind of taking questions from audience, from comments, and just things that they have, maybe been a little too afraid to ask, that maybe they haven't really been around a producer that's willing to talk about these things, and just kind of going more in depth with a lot of the things that a producer does that honestly doesn't usually get recognized.
I love that. Because I mean, I've been in the production world for like a decade and plus now, and it wasn't until in the last 2 or 3 years that I've actually gotten to work with true producers and
Yeah.
not just the salesperson that wears the producer hat.
Yes. Big
And
difference.
so,
Big difference.
exactly, and trying to figure out, okay, what does this person actually do, and how does it actually make things flow smoothly has been an eye opener for me in the last couple of years. So, talk to me a little bit about, what are some of the tidbits and things that people can learn when they watch the show.
Yeah, so something we just covered on there, like what are the different roles and what are different kinds of producers. So, both within the video content and the film world. I'm also an independent film producer, director, writer. So I work within that realm as well. So I'm able to kind of touch on both topics, which they're very different. Content marketing versus film production are very different animals. Have kind of a similar base, but different in approach. So we kind of go through all the different pieces of that. I just did a thing on, some of the hardest parts of being a producer and really just kind of getting into a lot of the, I don't know, just getting more into the details of being a producer. And I think it's very hard for people to find a lot of that information online. There's very few books on producing and from the perspective of producers. I mean, there's just not a lot out there for really like, in an education perspective.
You cannot go to
So
school for it.
yeah, it's not really something you can like, oh yeah, I went to producer school. Okay, great. So, you can major in cinematography, directing, whatever, but like producing itself is a very difficult thing. I had one class, I think, in producing during film school. And I think it's a really necessary thing for people to understand, whether it's, the artists themselves that are working with the producers, other producers, and hearing different perspectives, but also clients, because we're kind of the number one point of contact for clients. And oftentimes clients aren't really understanding what our role is either. So I think it's really good to have that, that clarity and just being transparent of what exactly it is that we do.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the goal of Drysen Learns Things is to talk about the marketing efforts that tie back to the company that is doing them. And I'm a producer helps to promote Made by Things as an animation and as a content producing company.
Yep.
How does I'm a producer accomplish that?
So I'm a producer is able to tackle a few different things. So obviously there is the education aspect, which is speaking to a few different audiences, and each of the episodes are speaking to a few different audiences. So based on kind of, you know, the language that I'm using within the copy on the actual episode attached to it, hashtags and how I'm trying to direct the episode to which audience. So whether that's going to be an artist or a client or other producers or just studios in general. So that is one thing. Another thing too is it brings a lot of awareness to the company itself too, without being like overly branded or overly like salesy, which is something that I appreciate because I don't want to be sold to, right? I want to go on a journey with someone. I want to hear a story. I want to feel connected to this person. So it is awareness for Made by Things without, hey, everybody, Made by Things, Made by Things, Made by Things. It's like, no, it's okay. Like they're here, right? We're all here. But also, we have other things to talk about as well that kind of tie in. Another thing too that I really like about I'm a Producer is It shows behind the scenes, and it also shows the way that we care and the care that we put into our product and into our projects. Because producing a lot of that is, I call it like the vibe check. Is we're constantly trying to make sure everything is, remaining positive. Communication is very clear. We put a lot of, put a lot of care into and a lot of love into our projects. That's really one of the main roles of being a producer. And it's something that I love to be able to show how much we do that at Made by Things, because we do. We really care about everything that we're doing. If we didn't care, we wouldn't do it. So it's something that, as a producer, and especially with that show, I want, the audience to take away that this is someone and this is a studio that really does care about the projects they're taking on and the work that they're creating.
So I'm very curious, because you've been at Made by Things for a couple of years now. What is one thing you've noticed about the studio that really just gives you that emotional tie that you're like, yes, I'm happy here. I want to stay here. I love working here.
Yeah, this is a good question, because I don't think that it's something that's really talked about a lot. Is like why a particular studio, right? And with Made by Things, it is that caring aspect. It's also the scrappiness. We're kind of willing to say, okay, you know what? Let's try something new. Let's do something no one else is doing. And I don't know, I love kind of that slightly rebellious nature of let's just go for it. Let's do it. Let's take the risk. 'Cause that's important. And that risk taking, that's what's good. That's good marketing, right? That's how you get your name out there. It's how you get seen. That's how you brand yourself, is to be different, to be unique. And I love that at Made by Things, because we are very unique, we're very different, and we care so immensely about the work that we're creating. And that's why we take risks, because we want people to see that. We want it to be out there. And that's really one of the things that, drew me to Made by Things and what keeps me here.
I love it. And I know this is kind of like, tooting our own horn, like, yeah, we're Made by Things, we're awesome. Ah.
Yeah.
But in my belief, I like the side of it where it's very much the collaborative side of things, where it's not just like, yeah, we'll make you a video, hire us, whatever. But it's like trying to find the strategy, like the thought process, like how does this actually affect this and the customer journey, which is something I've been a fan of for like a decade now. So like, this is the first studio that I've been with that truly believes in that to the level of what I do. And it's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to be here for a while.
Well, yeah, and it's something, too, where, we're not just... It's something where it's like we're focused on story. We're also focused on the analytics. We're focused on strategy. We're able to kind of... I don't know. I always say this is like we can kind of chameleon ourselves of, which area are we looking into at this particular moment based on the project. Are we trying to tell the story of the brand? Are we trying to sell a product? What is it that we're really trying to get into? And how do we tie each of those elements together to create a more, well-rounded piece, which I love because it allows more research, allows more time, better storytelling. I mean, those aspects create a better end product.
I agree, which help people solve their goals more effectively.
Exactly.
I'm a producer. Where can people find it at?
They can find it on my LinkedIn, which is Shelby Hagerdon, MFA, or my Instagram is just Shelby Hagerdon. Everywhere else that I'm at, if you Google me, you'll find me. So,
perfect. Well, Shelby, thank you for hanging out for the 10-minute phone call here today. Today's episode is brought to you by the Discovery Workshop from Made by Things. So if you are curious in what we can do for you as being a content partner to really come alongside, help brainstorm and identify the weak parts in your marketing plan, take a look at that at madebythings.com/discovery. And again, Shelby, thank you. And everyone else, we shall see you tomorrow. Drysen Learns Things is brought to you by the Discovery Workshop from Made by Things. If you are looking for a content partner to help you brainstorm, set goals, and create content that truly resonates with your audience, check us out at madebythings.com/discovery.